Greetings, fellow Whovians, and welcome to Timey Wimey Review. At the time of recording, it's been about 2 weeks since the Doctor Who Centenary special that was The Power of the Doctor aired for the first time in the UK. And it's safe to say that it had some really good results. It's had about 5.4 million viewers, if you include the BBC iPlayer ratings as well. It's had some positive results from critics and fans alike. But on the second viewing, does it still hold up? Well, please hit the subscribe button as I review The Power of the Doctor, originally broadcast on BBC One in October 2022. Just in case you don't know the plot, the Master, the Daleks and the Cybermen have all joined forces to rid the Doctor once and for all, with the grand plan culminating with the Master forcing the Doctor to regenerate so that the Master can steal her body and become the Master Doctor. Well, that's the plot, at least in a nutshell, because really it just jumps all over the place. We were in Siberia in 1916, London in present day, Bolivia, I believe, was in there, obviously different planets, and obviously the Dalek plan of creating all these volcanic eruptions. We have all these paintings disappearing, seismologists disappearing. I did time this, and for this whole plot to come to fruition, it took about 40 minutes. Not to say that it was boring by any sense, but it's just something that I kind of got used to in Chris Chibnall's writing, where I just feel that sometimes he packs a bit too much in terms of plot, that it's just kind of like, does it necessarily need to be there? I think that's his way of making it as grand and as epic as possible, with having all these different locations and shots and scenes and stuff, which is all quite clever, but it's kind of sometimes less is more. And if it's not really subservient to the story, then it's not, you're just doing it for the sake of it. But once we got that out of the way, that's when the fun really begins. And I've got to talk about Sacha Dhawan as the Master, because for me, he was the show stealer in this special. He was brilliant. It just shows how much of a range Sasha has throughout this 88-minute special, because, well, let's talk about the Rasputin scene, shall we? Because yeah, that was brilliant. Did the Master really need to be Rasputin? Was that a sort of a link to his sort of disappearance during Spyfall? I don't know. Or is it just Chris Chibnall thinking, I'll make him Rasputin so I can do this dance number? I don't know. If it is just the latter, then fine, I'll take it, because yeah, it was a really good scene. It's something that I watch over and over again since The Power of the Doctor was first aired. Still got the Boney M track stuck in my head, and I loved the looks that the Cyberman and the Dalek gave to each other. Apparently that was improvised as well, so that's just, the icing of the cake. As I've said in my Spyfall review, this version of the Master is just so unhinged, but I feel that in this special, Sacha Dhawan took it up to and pushed it up to 11, because he was more, I felt, more demented and so intimidating, especially that scene where he is the Master Doctor and he's pretty much got Yaz pinned up to the TARDIS door shouting, "I am the Doctor now, I am the Doctor." Great scene. But is it just me? But there's just a shot, just a split-second shot, where I felt that he was going to kiss Yaz at that point, because just sort of thinking about it, one, it's very, very dark, and I don't think they could have gone with that, because that would have easily pushed it for me into the watershed slot after, it had to be shown after 9 o'clock here in the UK in the evening. But if you sort of think of the psyche of it, I imagine that the Master will have a lot of the Doctor's memories when they did that force regeneration body swapping. So he would know that Yaz has got an affection for the Doctor, a very emotional affection for the Doctor. And if they really pulled that off, that would have been probably the most darkest scene in the history of Doctor Who. But just want to start talking about the main companions for this special. I'll get to the cameo ones later. But starting off with Dan, John Bishop. And yeah, it was a bit of a sad, quick departure, really. It kind of made sense, especially with the time restraints that you've got. This This could have easily been a 2 hour special, really, for me. It would have been, if anything, yeah, this special needed more time, but it kind of made sense in how he departed. If anything, it would have been really good if they linked it back to Tegan, or if they mentioned it in the same breath as Tegan, to sort of go, well, that's kind of what happened to me. It stopped being fun. It got too dangerous, and I need to lead my own life. So, as much as it was impactful that John Bishop was as Dan, I really appreciated his work on Doctor Who, especially in Doctor Who Flux. I thought he fitted in really well. And I hope that we do get some Big Finish audios, or at least a return of Dan at some point in the future. On to our special guest companions, which is Janet Fielding as Tegan and Sophie Aldred as Ace. I'll start off with Tegan, and yeah, it was nice to see her back. It was a super surprise. There was rumours, obviously, of Sophie Aldred coming back as Ace, but no one had Tegan penned in as a potential return. And yeah, I thought she did a really good job. Especially she has not done a televised performance since she left Doctor Who back in 1984 in Resurrection of the Daleks. So to come back in Doctor Who, I know she's done audio for Big Finish, but to come back in a televised role, it's just a really special moment. And it was nice that, Janet wanted to come back and be back on the screen. Same goes for Sophie Aldred, really, as Ace. I feel that she has really looked after this character for the past 30 years. It could have been, she could have easily have finished Doctor Who and gone, yeah, that was the thing that I did, and moved on, and, just leave it as that. But no, in terms of coming back for the audio adventures for Big Finish, writing your own stories, and keeping some of the props like the jacket and some other sort of paintings and things like that. It's just, it just shows. I think it's just a rarity these days for actors and actresses, to do that. And yeah, when she did come back again in the flesh, it's just, I felt like the more the special went on, the more sort of younger sounding she was. She was just full of life and energy, and just, yeah, really nailed this character. It's exactly what you would have seen Ace 30 years after her last TV appearance in Survival. I can't really carry on this review without talking about the other main cameo appearances in this special, and obviously the past versions of the Doctor. So we had David Bradley, Peter Davison, Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy, and Paul McGann all returning for this special as the first, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth Doctors. And wow, that was a surprise. It was again, it was rumored that there could be some past Doctors making a return for this centenary special, and I thought if it was going to be anything like that, it'll just be a voiceover. But props to Chris Chibnall for finding a way to bring them back on screen as their older selves, how they would be. And however short these cameo scenes were, they were all very much with love and care from both the writing and the acting from David, Peter, Colin, Sylvester, and Paul. What a band. And yeah, my highlights were, I like the bit where the eighth Doctor says, I don't do robes, and there was that little bickering going off between him and the seventh. That was really nice. And the touching moments, again, Chibnall packed a lot in this special, but finding the time to draw a little bit of closure between Tegan and the fifth Doctor when he mentioned Adric. Again, that was a really nice scene. That was a good scene stealer for me. Again, with the seventh Doctor and Ace, the Chibnall kind of kept it sort of like what happened between the seventh Doctor and Ace. That's a story for another day. Someone else can pick that up. You don't want to give that a definitive ending. It's kind of just an open-ended falling out. And, it's, again, really well-written piece, and especially at the end where the seventh Doctor goes, we're more than good, we're ace. That just sort of like just kicked her up another gear. And yeah, just some great scenes to bring the previous Doctors into this special. I was also impressed with the amount of Easter eggs this special had to offer, and I liked that it was basically integrated in the story. It just didn't, it wasn't just, oh, let's just pop this up in the air and this, that, and the other. It felt organic. It didn't feel forced at all. So we had Ace with the baseball bat taking on a Dalek. We had obviously the mentioning of Adric, Croydon. Wow, that was really good, and obviously the other companions making a cameo and basically a companioned counselling group. I liked that. I thought that was a really clever idea to do, and bring past companions such as Graham, who obviously was in early in the story. And yeah, it was great to see Graham Bradley Walsh return and have that interaction with Ace again. How he kind of got there, I don't know. Is a bit, I'll buy it, especially with the psychic paper. Again, nice little Easter egg nod back to a previous adventure. Would have been nice if Ryan could have tagged along though. That whether he was busy, I don't know. But yeah, having all the rest of the or some other cameo appearances like Kate Stewart, Joe Grant as well, and William Russell. Wow, again, it's so great that they managed to bring the original companion, Ian Chesterton, just for that scene, and just hearing him say, "Did you say her?" That was, you kind of just want to go, what happened? Where did you go? What happened after you left the doctor and it was you and Barbara? Just all these wonderful adventures, and again, great Easter eggs. I'm gonna have to do a video at some point of all the Easter eggs that I spotted in this special. Quick mention to Mandip Gill as Yaz. I felt that again she had to carry quite a bit of this special, and this is the one sort of critique I would say about Yaz as a character. They didn't really give her much to do. I don't think they, for the at least 2 seasons, maybe into Doctor Who Flux as well. This is a lady that's from Sheffield who's a training police officer. That's all we got. I felt, it could be just me, and I'm fine. I'll hold my hands up for that. Nothing against Mandip Gill at all. I thought she did a really, really good job with the material that she was given, but I felt that they really sort of upped her performance and her role, and just gave her more to do in this special, having to sort of rescue all these other companions, and including Vinder as well. And yeah, I love the scene where obviously the Doctor gets knocked down by that energy beam, and she's carrying the Doctor into the TARDIS. Just shades of when the 5th Doctor carried Perry into the TARDIS in Caves of Androzani. And yeah, you got a little sort of, I'm sure I saw a little peck on the cheek there from Yaz into to the Doctor. So maybe we could have done a kiss scene. I don't know. And yeah, that final moments between Yaz and the Doctor, it was kind of building up, it was brewing. Again, I hope we get some Big Finish audio adventures for the Doctor and Yaz, and just see how far we can build this relationship and take those stories. So let's talk about the Doctor, Jodie Whitaker. Personally, I think this was her best performance from her entire tenure with Doctor Who. I think mainly, not that I didn't dislike her performance at all. I just felt the writing did let her down in her era, personally. Not to say that it was all terrible and things like that. There's been quite a few that I've reviewed recently, which I thought was, second viewing worked. And I think it's more me personally. It's just a Doctor that I've not connected with as much as I have done with David Tennant's and Matt Smith's. I've struggled the same with Peter Capaldi. I'm rewatching his era as we speak, and I felt similar to Jodie in this one. But again, this was definitely her best performance. Loved the scene between her and Yaz as we're going into the regeneration, and the regeneration scene, which I will talk about in just a moment. But what I like about Jodie is her passion and commitment to Doctor Who. She came in obviously knowing that she's the first female actress to play the Doctor, she knew the remit and gave it her all. I can definitely just see that in her eyes and in her performance, writing or otherwise, and just how she is with the fans as well, and just how she is in life. That's what I take away from her time as the Doctor. She's going to London Comic Con later in November, with David Tennant and Matt Smith. And I think she's going to have an absolute blast. And, again, if I think about Jodie Whitaker outside of Doctor Who, is when she was on the Graham Norton show and she was sat on the stage whilst her favourite band Coldplay was performing Universe, and just seeing her eyes and her face just light up. That's what I like about her. I just felt that she was, and feel that she is, an absolute ambassador for Doctor Who. And if anything, if I do get to meet her one day, I just want to say thank you for all her hard work and just being Jodie. And when it was all said and done, we did get that regeneration scene, and it was a very beautiful, somber regeneration, compared to the ones that we've had recently in modern Doctor Who, mainly involving the TARDIS being blown up. So it was glad that it went to the more sort of somber one. Remind me a little bit of the ninth Doctor's regeneration into the 10th. It was sort of like slowly building that up. And yeah, you can definitely tell there was definitely some Chibnall writing sort of, or just writing, or the writers emulating what the Doctor was saying. In her case, of I need more time, and I think that was definitely this 10 years sort of faults, really, mainly due to outside interference, aka the pandemic. But yeah, that regeneration scene looked absolutely gorgeous. I loved the lines and the dialogues from there. Segun Akinola, again, hasn't got much credit really in this era, and I think he did a fantastic job. Totally different to the bombastic sort of operatic themes and scoring that we've had from Murray Gold, but very subtle and intense. I feel that he brought to this, but yeah, can't take away the music score that he gave to the 13th Doctor. It's just beautiful. And yeah, then we got that regeneration, and it's David Tennant returning as the 14th Doctor. I don't know. I mean, could the BBC been a little bit more braver and just did that as a cliffhanger? There's rumors out there that there was supposed to have been a to be continued, to sort of see whether it would have been either David Tennant or Ncuti Gatwa that regenerates into. I think they could have pulled that off. Only if it was going to go back in time and done a to be continued, I would have done that. And for BBC Children in Need, which is in later in November, do that last segment for that, just to get more eyes on that product. It's for charity and get more people talking. Not like anyone's talking about it anyway. But I digress. We did get that moment. I love the lines of, I recognise his teeth, loved that. And obviously we did get a little snippet of Ncuti Gatwa. I'm going to give The Power of the Doctor a TARDIS rating of 8.5 out of 10. There was just so much packed into this 88-minute special, and I think for the most part they pulled it off. It was a home run for me. Knock out the park, not quite sure, but definitely a home run. I think the main problem is it needed more time. I could have easily have had another half an hour, even 10 minutes. I would have took 10 minutes, just to really just sort of flesh some bits out, and just sort of made it a bit less sort of convoluted. There was some definite sort of head scratching going on there, in terms of like cameo appearances like Mel. Great to see Bonnie Langford back, but when did she get dropped off by Savalon Glitz in the Nosferatu 2? Again, did we need all the whole sort of, the seismologist disappearing, all the sort of build up plot lines? That was kind of a bit all over the place. How Graham fit into it was a little bit jarring, but take that as a pinch of salt, because this was a fun time. And it went so fast. The pacing was so fast, and yeah, I didn't get bored whatsoever. I've watched it 3 times now, and I still found it really enjoyable. And yeah, I thought Chris Chibnall added in as many people as he possibly could, including Kate Stewart and Assad. You know, they had some good moments together. Joe Martin making that brief appearance as the fugitive doctor. I hope that's not the end of Joe Martin. I think there's definitely more stories to be told. Hopefully, in the new era, it definitely ended on a high. And this is something that I was saying for quite, for the build up for the Power of the Doctor. It's either going to be a knock out the park, or it's going to be a beautiful mess. And thankfully, we got, well, I got what I wanted. I got a really good swan song for this Doctor. So much to talk about in this special, but let me know in the comments below your thoughts to The Power of the Doctor. Did you really enjoy this special? Are you looking forward to what's going on in the 60th anniversary and beyond? And a lot of people have been saying that this special was better than The Day of the Doctor. Do you agree or disagree? Let me know in those comments. Next time on Time Rhyme Review, a really special treat. I will be reviewing the Doctor Who documentary movie, Doctor Who Am I, about the making of the Doctor Who TV movie starring Paul McGann as the 8th Doctor back in 1996. So very much looking forward to that. It's got a limited release at the cinemas before its general release on Blu-ray and DVD a little bit later this year. So luckily my local cinema is showing it. I'm going to watch it and review it for you for this channel. But until then, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this review. Please like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the cloister bell for more notifications. Come say hello and follow me on Twitter at ReviewTimey, and do check out my other videos from the Timey Wimey Review YouTube channel. And as the good doctor once said, look after the next one.